I would imagine you get a lot of fulfillment from your job because you're like actually saving people's lives.
Yeah.
What would you compare the fulfillment you got from selling that flip, making something nice again, selling it to a family? What did you get like an equal amount of fulfillment from that or more? Or how do you feel about that?
Way more.
Way more.
I got like way more fulfillment. Yeah, man, because I was working on that thing. Like it's like I
You
was in there, I
came
was
into
sweating,
play,
I was
Jake.
grinding, I was in there regretting my decisions. Like, why did I buy this thing? And then when it sold, I was like, oh man, not only
Yeah.
did it sell quick, like it sold for like way more than I thought.
Bam, we're here.
We're here.
Hey, welcome to
Welcome.
the Mike and Jake show. I'm Mike. We got Jake. We got Omar.
We got special guest Omar Richardson here. Let's go.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. I
How are
appreciate
you?
both of you
How you
guys
doing,
having
Omar?
me. I'm doing great, man. I'm doing
Actually, I
great.
think I know you longer than Jake.
I know Omar
Probably.
longer than I know you, Mike.
That's right, because Omar called me
That's-
before I ever met Jake. I didn't know who Jake was at the time when he called me.
yeah, that's
Omar and
funny.
Omar showed me, taught me. We met at a McDonald's,
We did.
and he showed me how to cold call for the first time ever.
I remember that, bro. That's when I was cold calling on what was it, Google Voice
Yeah,
with a spreadsheet when I
that
first
was
started.
that was like 2019 or something. When was that?
That would have been 2022, 2020. Yeah, the beginning of 2022.
Oh, really?
That's not that
Yeah,
long ago.
No, that's not
no,
that long ago. Yeah,
no, that's not at all. That's when we first met. I got into real estate and like I started learning about it in 2021, and I like really jumped in after I had my daughter in December of 2021. And then I met Jake, and then we started working together in the beginning of 22.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We had a business together, Mike. I don't know.
Yeah, we
I
did.
don't think you. I don't think we told you about that, but
what's
yeah.
going on? What business do we have here?
Well,
I'm
we're gonna get into
clueless.
that.
It
But
is.
We're
first,
gonna get
first,
into that for sure.
How
Omar.
about before we do all that, let's hear a little bit about Omar. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
How you started, college. I think you played sports, no?
Yeah, I
You were
did.
an athlete?
Yeah, I played football. So I went to Wilkes University in Wilkes-Barre. I studied pharmacy. I graduated. Now I'm a pharmacist. I played football while I was at Wilkes. Graduated 2016, did a residency, worked in the emergency room currently as a pharmacist. And then in like 2020, so you want me to get into like how I got into real estate, the whole thing?
Yeah, just keep breaking
Okay,
it.
all right.
So
I
wait,
got
room pharmacist. Okay, you used to play
Yep.
football in college.
Mm,
You used to play college ball. That's good
mhm.
context.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
actually, I met one of his teammates, found his wallet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
wait, who?
Remember I came to the meetup, I forgot his darn name, but I found his thing, and he said he knew you, and I asked you, I forget his name, to be honest with you. He's selling all kinds of hoodies and stuff like that, but he played with you.
Huh.
I
I don't
I
know.
found
I have to
yeah, I
think about
told
it.
you, I found his wallet out in the
I
street,
do remember that. I
and
remember
I
you
and
telling
I
me that.
searched for this guy, it was filled with money. I gotta find this guy.
No, definitely.
And I found him, he was
Definitely.
like the coolest guy, and I started talking about real estate. He goes, "Oh, my friend Omar, he does real estate." "What? Omar? I know this dude." And
What a
then,
small world.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
That's crazy.
He was a cool
Crazy.
guy. Honestly, I forget his name, and this is about 3 years ago.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. That was a while back for sure.
But go let's get back to you, though. I'm sorry. You play
No, you're good, you're
football, you're
good.
a pharmacist
Um,
now.
yeah, so I worked in the emergency room, or I still do currently, as an ER pharmacist and an ICU pharmacist. And then in the summer of going into 2020, I wanted to really get into like financial literacy. So I started reading a bunch of books, opened like a Roth, did that whole thing. Felt like it was going too slow, but I didn't really know what to do. So oddly enough, we were pregnant with my daughter at the time, and I was like, damn, I gotta do something to like set up for my kid. Like I feel like what I'm doing now is probably good, but like it's not enough.
Yeah.
So I started looking into real estate, and like my childhood best friend at the time, he actually closed a wholesale deal, and we just bought our house. So this was like June of 2020. So we just bought our house. Our daughter's about to be due in December. He closed a wholesale deal, and now I'm like learning about real estate, made 20K. And it took us like 90 days to close on our house or something like that. And he did it in 20. And I was like, no, no way. You're like lying, bro. That's all fake. What are you talking about? So he like shows me and starts explaining it to me. And then that's when I started like actually looking more into like real estate as a whole. So that's what started my interest. Started looking into it, and Then I just started talking about it to people at work, and I met a realtor. Her name's Sarah Hamilton, and then she introduced me to the meetup in Buckhorn, and then from there it just kept going. And that's how my journey into real estate started.
So you
Yeah.
started off into wholesaling.
Yeah.
So it was whole so it really started off with me, like, looking into not really looking into wholesaling, but, like, trying to figure out what he was talking about and learning about that. And then with that, it expanded into, "Oh, I could own rental properties, but, like, how do I do it? I just bought my house, I don't have money to do it." So then that dug into, like, me finding about creative finance and
Yep.
trying to learn that stuff out and figure that. And then wholesaling jumped in, and the next so for me, the way I built my real estate, mine was like I had a bunch of problems and I didn't really know how to overcome them. So the first two problems for me were I didn't have money at the time to buy deals and I didn't know how to find deals. So I really jumped into one, creative finance to solve that one problem, and then two, wholesaling became a way for me to figure out how to find deals. And through that's how I tried to overcome like those first two hurdles that I was really having in real estate.
All right, so now let's get back to your business with Jake.
Well, wait.
Because
Oh,
is it real estate?
No, that timeline is perfect because that's exactly
Yeah,
where
that's
it
where I
goes.
think
My
you guys meet at this point.
yeah.
At this
So
point, yeah. So no, you good,
that
Jay.
is when we met then? So you got introduced to wholesaling, your friend did it, and
So
then
I got introduced to wholesaling. I went to the meetups. They had a meetup with April Crossley there, a few other people, and that's when I'm like, all right, cool. She's talking about using other people's money and private money lenders. So like now I'm like trying to find more ways to buy properties and do things with the little money that I now have pooled up after buying our primary. And then so this is about November or like January, and I think me and Jake probably meet at a meetup in February. He comes in. Jake shows up to the first meetup late. He was coming from work. He shows up late and he sits next to us. And he's like similar in age to me, at least in appearance. And then I think we exchanged numbers at the end. And then we just kept talking. And yeah, I don't really know how we got started, honestly. I can't remember like how we actually decided to partner up.
I think when you go and there's other young people in the room, you gather together. You're
Hmm.
attracted to the people that are similar to you or in a similar
Hmm.
situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how things line up. So that lined up that way. We met and we must have been talking about wholesaling or just doing real estate. I think we were
Yeah, I think at the time so that's what it was. I think at the time it was like I was like cold calling a bunch and like driving for dollars, and you were like you didn't really like cold call at all, but like you had rental properties at this time. I think you had two properties and like you were explaining like house hacking, like how you were doing all that stuff. And then I think it just became like, yo, I want to buy more properties. I want to
yeah,
find more properties. Let's figure out like this wholesaling thing together. You're cold calling, show me what that is. Like, all right, we could do this. We could go do direct mail and get in a VA. So like then it became like us just like bouncing ideas off each other. And they were like, yo, we should probably partner up and do this thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we partnered up.
And that's all from a meetup, right?
That was
Yeah.
from the meetup. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, all from a meetup and
See,
just
that's
following up with each other honestly and just having like conversations about what our goals were and like what we wanted to do. And through that, we figured out if we were a good fit at that
well, I
time.
know both of you. You both are aggressive, right? I think you're both aggressive, which is good. You have to be, right? You
For
don't
sure.
listen to what other people say. You're strong mindset, both of you.
I think for
From
me
what I
too,
know.
I'm like, here's this smart guy. He's a pharmacy tech or he's a pharmacist at the ER, and he's talking about wholesaling. So it must be real. It must be legit
Yeah.
because
Well,
I had rental properties, but I didn't think wholesaling was legit. So yeah, we met, and it is a small world, and that's the power of networking. Because not only did we meet, but you met April Crossley. Your friend was one person. Okay, I made 20K doing this thing, and then you went to the meetup,
For
and you met
sure.
like 5 to 10 other people that are doing it, and that
Literally.
kind of shows, okay, this is definitely possible. So then from there, we started taking action steps together. You were already taking action steps. You were cold calling. You had a Podio. You had a
Yeah.
CRM set up,
Yeah. Podio. Gee.
and we created RA equity together. Like we created a business with an operating agreement and everything. We
Yep.
started looking for deals.
Yep.
So yeah, and we met at McDonald's, and he was cold calling on Google Voice, and he showed me how to cold call. So
at McDonald's?
Yeah.
at
At
McDonald's,
McDonald's. Yeah.
Love it.
At
yeah,
McDonald's.
on a
That
Saturday or something. Yeah,
yeah, something like that. Oh
yeah.
man, those were I feel like those were oh
That
man,
feels
it
like
was
so
rough back
long ago.
then.
That
Yeah,
feels so long
it
ago.
was rough
It
back
is.
then. I remember getting cursed out all the time, and I was terrible at cold calling. My voice would be all shaky.
Yeah, me
Uh,
too. I hated cold calling. They're like, "How do you know I can't pay my bills?" What's just no.
I
yeah,
used to hate
honestly.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
hated
I'm
cold
not a
calling.
call if you call me, great, but if I gotta call somebody, that's just not me. I'm not doing it.
Another, I think like with prop stream, you get 10 numbers that are bad and one that's good.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
And it's
especially if you
like,
use prop stream skip tracing, which at the time we were.
yeah.
And it was a bunch of terrible numbers. It was always terrible numbers. But we got some good leads for sure. For
So we
sure.
met there and we started doing that. So you already had a good job, right? You're a pharmacist, you're making good money, you were buying your first house, having your first kid. What
Yeah.
made you want more? Why was that's not like what made you get into real estate? Did you just want more income? You said that you set up a Roth 401k and you said it wasn't fast enough.
Yeah,
So what can you expand on that? Can you double click on that a little bit and
yeah,
why
for
real
sure.
estate might have been a better option?
For sure. So like at the time I was investing in the stock market, I had a brokerage account, I had a Roth, but I felt like I didn't have enough control of the stocks, nor did I have enough understanding. And oddly enough, like real estate was always something that I wanted to do. I've always wanted to own properties. I always thought like that was cool when I was younger, but I never saw it as really an option. So the reason why I decided to choose real estate was for me, one, I had more control over the asset. I started learning about the different ways that you could earn income, and even more so, not really income for me. The biggest thing was wealth. Because I don't know, growing up, I was always about building a legacy, like whether it was with sports, like I always wanted to be good at it. So I don't know, oddly enough, like maybe I get my poster up somewhere, not poster, but you know how they put plaques up in schools. Like
Yeah.
you always want to leave something behind. So for like me, it was always like, all right, when I was growing up, my dad like worked super hard, like super, super hard. But because of that, sometimes he couldn't be around. And I get that like now as a father. But now me having my own kid, I wanted to build wealth to where if I wanted to work, I could. If I didn't want to work, I didn't have to. And I wanted that time freedom to where I could spend time with my kids when my kids were at an age where they were doing more activities. So when I say it felt too slow, I felt like the stock market wouldn't get me to that goal in a time fashion that I saw fit. So that's why I felt like real estate was the route I wanted to go. And then my buddy just opened the door when you mentioned wholesaling. And from there, that's when I like really started digging into it, like really like deep diving and reading tons, like tons, consuming tons of content and books. And then from there, yeah, the doors just opened up. And that's when I was like, all right, I think this is the route I want to go. And that's when I really started to find my passion in real estate for
So
sure.
fast forward to today, you just closed on a flip this year, your
Hmm.
first flip for the year,
Yeah.
and then you have rentals now. I'm not sure how many. Can you
Hmm.
tell us a little bit about your portfolio? Tell us about
Yeah.
that flip too. 180 $85 a square foot in Berwick it
Yeah.
sold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
This is your first flip, correct?
Yeah, my first I've bought properties and then put them on the market the same day, but this is and
No,
I've
no, no.
renovated
You went
flips,
in
but
there
this is
and
my first
renovated.
flip. Yeah, this is my first flip.
Tell
Yeah,
us
for
about
sure.
it because I like to hear from your perspective as doing it for the first time. I don't remember my first one. It becomes a blur after a while.
Yeah, yeah, for
I wanna
sure.
hear it. Any
So
problems you had or anything like that, let us know, and
yeah, for
How
sure.
how'd you buy it? How'd you find it? All that. Break
Yeah,
it from the
so it
beginning.
was a
yeah.
coworker who I've been working with in the emergency department for years. I understood that she wanted to sell her home for a while. So we just talked and we talked, and at the time it didn't make sense for her, and then at a point in time it did. So we just negotiated over time. We're not
And
negotiated,
everybody
but we
knows
just
you're a
spoke.
real estate investor at the hospital, right? Where you work,
Yeah,
right?
oddly, actually, it's surprising how many people come up to me and talk to me and ask me about it. Like, I guess I don't realize that, like, how far, like, when you actually like post things,
Yes.
like people actually pay attention. So yeah, a lot of people know that I invest in real estate and I do different things in real estate for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
I
So
just wanted to emphasize that point. Like when you talk about it, people start to know, you
And
know?
definitely,
you have to because
yeah,
it pays off.
yeah.
Yeah.
When I
Let's
first started, I didn't. That wasn't something I did, and then once I made that switch to I invest in real estate to I'm a real estate investor, I feel
Yeah.
like that's when like more people started like
and the more you
realizing,
talk
I
about
guess.
it, the more they see you on the Facebook, Instagram,
Mhm.
or wherever you're at,
Yeah,
it just starts building credibility.
So
yeah,
your coworker, because he knew you invested in real estate, he said he was selling his house and you ended up buying it. Go from
yeah.
there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I bought the house. How much detail you want me to go into? Every
All
minute
of it.
detail, or just
Deep,
all of
deep,
it?
deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go
Like how
deep
did
on
you
Like
it.
know that it was a
numbers?
good deal? Yeah. How'd you
Uh,
know?
you
How did I know it was a good deal? Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I was on the fence about it. I'm not gonna lie. I was on the fence about it. All right, so the reason why I say that is because I'm super conservative with my numbers.
yeah, you are.
Um,
Yep.
like super conservative to the point where I probably miss out, and actually not probably, I definitely miss out on a lot of deals that like are
You'll
deals.
start to loosen up.
In
You'll start
hindsight,
to
yeah,
loosen up.
yeah,
Yeah.
in hindsight. But like I'm learning as you do it, more you learn. So I had a feeling it was a deal, but like I've talked to more investors who invest in the area, and they were like, "Oh man, no, you need to negotiate this a little bit lower." So I negotiated like 5K off from my initial price. But going in, I still didn't like have a strong feeling it was a deal. Like I was estimating I'd make a decent amount of money, like
Yeah,
5, 10, 20K, nothing too crazy, but
You weren't gonna
I don't
lose
know.
money.
I wasn't gonna actually, I was on the fence. I was like, "Oh man, this might be close," to like me losing money, like as more things started to add up. But
I feel that way all the time still.
yeah, so it's that's just how I am though. If I don't understand everything in a process, not to say I'm on the fence about it, but I'm just unsure of it completely until I have an idea of what the process entails, how things go. So bought it, got a lot of quotes for paint. The quotes were super expensive. So I ended up painting it.
You painted
Man,
it yourself?
basically. I had some help though. I definitely had some help. But a lot of it was myself for sure.
yeah, I'll never do that again. I've done that too.
Yo, I'll
I'll
never
never
do
do that
that
again.
again. I'll never do
I've
that again.
painted, I've drywalled, I try to tile the floor.
Oh
Yeah,
man, it was terrible. There were weeks where I'd
It's hard.
work, I go to work at 4, get off at 12:30, wake up at 4, go there, go to work, and I did that for the whole entire week. Then I'd get off of work at 4:30 in the afternoon sometimes, go home with my family for a little bit, go there when they fall asleep at 8, stay there till 2, come home, wake up at
It's
5. Like I would
it
never do that
and
again.
that's what people
I
don't
will never do that again.
no, but people don't see that's what you do, right? They
yeah.
just hear that, "Hey, I bought a house, I'm flipping it, we're doing it, I made this much money," but they don't
Right.
realize that you went to work, and then you left work, and then you spent 10 hours painting, right?
Yeah.
And then you went home, slept
Yeah,
for an hour, kissed the kid, the wife, everyone, "Hey, I'll see you guys later," and then off to work you go. And then you go
definitely.
back to the house, right? They just say, "Oh, Omar made this much money," you
No,
know?
for sure.
They think that you
For
made that
sure.
much money.
No,
Like,
yeah,
"I
so everybody
sold
thinks,
the house
man,
for
you know
300." "Oh, Mike, you made 300,000." "No, I sold the house for 300,000. It cost me 200,000 and to buy it, 50,000 at work, then I made 50
Yeah,
grand, then everybody taxed me and took their 6% and here and there, had to pay hard money loans.
for sure,
I got 10 grand,
for sure.
but
How did you find your contractors, Omar, that you did do?
So one of the contractors is a buddy of mine, Josh Sheets, Top Dog Renovations.
Josh Sheets,
He's
do
the
we know him?
yeah, yeah. Josh is the man. Josh is the man.
He's gonna be on the
So he was the main guy who worked on the job for me. It was basically a cosmetic flip. It wasn't like anything too crazy, like tearing up the carpets, but it was like the place was rough. Like it was
so
in
it
like
just
rough
it
condition.
was outdated?
Yeah, definitely outdated. Still 1960s, shag carpets, like textured ceilings, not popcorn, but
Yeah,
rolled on spackle or mud ceilings. No lights in any of the living rooms or bedrooms. Like classic 1980 modular,
sure.
basically. It was a 1975 modular, I believe.
Oh, that's a
So it was just really outdated in that sense. So just really tore out floors, replaced all the trim because the trim was like torn up everywhere, and it was like hard to find the same type of trim. Ended up having to get new molding for the windows, doors, new bifold doors, new flooring throughout, painted the cabinets, granite countertops, which I was back and forth on that for a while on what to do for the countertops.
What are we gonna do?
I was unsure. So like originally I was because like people were saying like, oh, since it's Berwick, you don't gotta do anything too crazy. You could just do laminate, that'll be cool. Or you could do butcher block. And then like after talking with Josh, and he was like, listen, this is what it's gonna cost in labor and material, and this is what they're gonna cost for them to put it in for you and this. And he's actually he gave me really good advice. He was like, when you flipping houses, you gotta understand that like women sell houses, which I understood it, but like he put more emphasis on it. He's like, you really gotta pay attention to like how things look in here if you really want it to sell quick and sell for like the dollar you want. So
Sure.
yeah, granted, it might be a little bit more, but like you gotta look at what the other competition are putting in, and then also look at what the price point is and where you are at in your budget, and see if that kind of makes sense for you. And at the time in my budget, it made sense. As things went off, I went over a little over budget a little bit. By the time it went over, but it wasn't that much over budget. It was
So
probably
what
like
made you go over budget? What didn't you plan for
my
that
yeah, man, I didn't plan for small, not to say small things, but things like windows, like the had screen door windows, sunroom windows that were cracked, like the different measurements. I didn't think about them being custom ordered, that taking a while.
Yep,
I
gotta
didn't think
order
about
them.
certain doors being custom ordered, like being different sizes, so I have to custom order those. I didn't think about like timing of certain contractors and like getting things done ahead of time and being done in like the right order. So like little small things. Like so like originally when I went in there, I was gonna paint everything and then tear up all the carpet and demo the place not right. Not really thinking. Josh is like, nah, bro, you wanna rip this all out
Yeah,
and do this now because you're gonna paint it and then mess up all the wall. I was like, that makes perfect sense, bro. That makes perfect sense. I didn't really think of things like that. So
yeah,
it's like small things that like as I like work on a job site more, like I start to understand and realize more. Cause a lot of times, like admittedly, like I'm on the job site, but I'm not there on the job site because like I
yep,
work a lot, right? So like
yep.
I'm
Yeah.
there, I'm looking, but I'm not like there all day. But so for me to actually do this, this actually really taught me a lot about what's going on the back end and what's actually happening like when things are being done.
And you're coming
Um,
from no construction experience at all,
nah,
basically.
man, negative construction experience. Like in my house, like when I got married to my wife, her name's Sam. We used to say it's the measurement man and handy Sam. Cause like she would do all that. But like now I'm way more now I do everything. Not everything, but I'm way handier now. I can do a lot. I've learned.
Yeah, people will think, they're like, "Yo, Omar knows, he could build me a house, he could do this." Same with me, they see me building
No,
homes,
sir.
"Oh, dude, I can't build a home, I pay people to build a home.
Sure.
I just go there
For
and
sure.
organize it." Same with Jake, Jake's flipping, he's not flipping.
Well, I'll tell you, it helps to know, I mean, what you're
It definitely
looking
does.
but
It
Absolute
definitely
Yeah, you
does.
have to know what you're doing.
You have to know. Now, yeah, you have to know.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I painted one time, that's why I did drywall one time, that's why I did tile one time, I do everything
Mhm.
one time to know that I don't like it, but at least I understand how
Yep.
it goes, so no
Yeah.
one's taking
Yeah,
advantage of me.
Yeah.
for
We
sure. That's
we
literally
go
the journey I'm on right now.
Yeah.
you should go to Home Depot and look at what stuff costs all the time and just have it in your
For
head.
sure.
'Cause you should be able to walk a property and be like, "This is gonna be 45K." And then you try to find someone to do it for that much. So that's the whole
That's
trick.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the next
For
thing.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. For
But,
sure.
so that one went good, you sold it, you just closed, right?
Yeah, it just closed on Monday. What's that? Tuesday? Yeah, I guess yesterday.
Did you use Yeah,
Yeah.
congrats. Did you use
Thank you,
hard
thank you,
money or
thank you.
private money?
I use private money.
Okay.
I use
And
private money.
how did you find private money?
So I was originally in a mastermind after I closed some wholesales, just to again learn more about private money, figure that whole thing out. And in that mastermind, there were a lot of private money lenders. So through that, I've connected with partners, I've connected with private money lenders. So that's how I found this private money lenders, just through relationships of being in the same
And
mastermind.
it's a good feeling, and once you use them
Or not?
once, you could use them again.
Yeah, this would be the third or fourth time I've worked with this private money lender.
See, that's good. It's nice when you have that rapport.
For sure. It makes things easier. It makes
Yeah.
things a lot easier.
I
Like
have a
the
guy that,
understanding of
I
documents, time, like
I could pick up
communication,
a
and everything's
phone
easier.
I could pick up a phone from one of my private guys, and I just say, "Hey, listen, I'm gonna look at a house today. I'm probably gonna need 200,000. You in?" "Yeah, no problem," which
Hmm.
helps me.
For
I
sure.
When I walk in that door, I can make the deal
For
because
sure.
I know I have the money. I'm like,
Hmm.
"Oh, dude, I'm gonna buy the house." "Okay, just let me know and I gotta wire you."
That makes it
That's
real easy.
that helps, but
It does, and that's like a big step. I feel like once you find like a private money lender or even a hard money lender, I've never worked with hard money lenders, but if you have a private money lender or hard money lender that you works with, I feels like not only does that accelerate your growth as a business, that also accelerates
Yeah.
like their wealth because you're obviously helping build their retirement or
sure,
whatever they
and
work in as
what's good?
well.
I'm gonna tell you about a hard money lender, and they look at the deal also because they don't want it to fail. Their money's in
For
there.
sure. For
You
sure.
know, sometimes I work with a hard money lender and I send him over the deal and he looks at it and he's like, "Mike, you sure? This is what I'm looking at." And we go over stuff and he's helped
Hmm.
me out one time,
Yeah.
stopped me from buying a deal. He's like, "I'll fund it
Yeah.
for you, but this is what I'm thinking." And then me and my partner deeply looked into it and we're like, "You know what? I'm gonna have to pass."
Yeah.
So I felt like it was good. You have that
Hmm.
relationship and that's how it goes.
For sure.
Yes. So that house went well. Did you sold it fast? How long did it take you to do this whole thing?
From
Start to
less than
finish.
4 months. Less than
Okay.
4 months. Yeah.
And you didn't have a problem. We were talking about that the other day. Actually, we were talking on the phone. He said, "Yo, I gotta go," and I just thought it was his kid or something in the background. And he calls back later. Yeah, someone coded. I didn't know he's at work.
Oh,
I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yo, don't call him when he's working, man." He's like, "Yo, I gotta go," and I was like,
Yeah, I
"Oh,
was on break and all of a sudden I heard it overhead. I was like, "Oh, I gotta go, Mike."
yeah," but I hear,
Oh yeah, I was running. Yeah, I started
yeah,
running. That's why, and
I'm thinking,
I didn't
"Yo,"
want to just hang up on you. So I was like, all
just
right, well, I
saving
gotta get
lives.
there. So let
no,
me just run in.
they're like, "Yo, Mike," I'm like, "Oh, something's wrong with the kid or something." I don't know what's going on. I know he thought someone coded on my work. I'm like, "Oh no, don't hang up on me."
This is a good question. So, I would imagine you get a lot of fulfillment from your job because you're, like, actually saving people's lives.
Yeah.
What would you compare the fulfillment you got from selling that flip, making something nice again, selling it to a family? What did you get like an equal amount of fulfillment from that or more, or how do you feel about that?
Way more.
Way more.
I got like way more fulfillment. Yeah, man, because I was working on that thing. Like it's
Yeah,
like I was in there, I
bring
was
it to
sweating,
place,
I was
okay?
grinding, I was in there regretting my decisions. Like, why did I buy this thing? And then when it sold, I was like, oh man, not only
Yeah,
did it sell quick, like it sold for like way more than I thought it. Not to say way more, but decently more than I thought it would.
Yeah, no, you got a really good price on that.
that's
Congrats.
awesome. That
Yeah,
was
Thank you. I really
exciting.
appreciate it. I really
yeah.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I
Yeah,
get
man.
nervous when people start their first flips and you're watching, and I'm sharing it too. People are like, "Is that your house?" "No, but if you got someone who wants to buy it, buy it."
Yeah, no, definitely,
So,
definitely. Yeah, it
does your
was
wife
a
is your wife supportive? Did she go
very
to the house and say, "I don't know"?
no.
Yeah.
No, she went in there, she was like, "No, I think with some, like, this like, with some cleaning up," and she was like, "It looks bad in here, but it's not, like, terrible." She's
Yeah.
seen, like, other properties that I've purchased for rentals and stuff, which are way worse condition than this flip
Yeah, my
house.
daughter was always the worst.
Um
My daughter would come in the house and be like, "Dad, are you crazy? You're gonna lose our money." And I go, "It's not your money. Relax. We're gonna be okay." And then the house is done, and they come in there, my sons, my daughter, and they're all video, "Yo, here we are at our house," and they're doing TikTok videos. You guys.
No, that's funny. My daughter, when she originally went in there, she was like, "Oh, this place is gross and it stinks in here."
Yeah,
And she's only 3, so for her to say that is pretty funny.
yeah.
And Omar,
And
so
it
you started out wholesaling and
mhm,
you're doing some flipping now and you have
mhm,
rentals now. What is your primary focus now? How many rentals do you have?
14 doors.
You have 14 doors. Awesome. And how has that helped supplement your income, or has it gotten you closer to that goal that you initially started for?
No, not really. Yes and no. Not to say no, not really, but I'm in like a growth phase right now. So like I keep my real estate life and my personal life are like financially two very separate things. And luckily, like when I got into real estate, like I was able to close some deals in real estate that like really have still kept me going. And it's always been that way. I've bought properties and like I didn't have much in my brokerage account, like 10K, so I like emptied that out and put it in there. But other than that, like 10K that I put from my brokerage account, like my whole real estate has really been supplemented either by wholesaling or like most of my deals, if not all of my deals, are like low money down purchases. I'd say actually every single one of my like rentals are low money down. So that's what's catapulted my growth a little bit as well.
So like creative
So to
finance.
answer your question, I've like reinvested my money back in to keep growing the business. So no, I don't really see any of that money financially or anything like that.
Sure, because your job supplements all your bills and your living and
Yeah, I'm not I wanted if I would love to leave my job and do real estate full time, but like currently I'm gonna just continue to use real estate to build my portfolio to where it's optional. Like when I'm really like, I'm over this.
sure, when
At
you have
that
a
point, I'm
bad day
over
at
this.
You
work
have a bad day, yeah, you're
when
done.
Yeah,
you have
basically. Yeah,
when you have a
exactly.
day
That's
at
my
work,
hope and my
though,
goal.
you don't really it's not as bad because you're like, "Yo, man, I got $1,000,000 in the bank." You really don't have to be there,
Yeah,
but
honestly,
it
that
you're
really is how work is now. It's
yeah, you
not like
you're feeling good
it's
because
like,
'cause you're collecting 14 rents a month. You're like, "Yo, dude, I don't really care, dude. I got 14 checks coming in the mail this month." You
no,
know?
definitely, man.
How,
But it makes work much different
oh, absolutely. You could walk around smiling, right? Other
all the
people are
time,
miserable.
all the time,
Yeah, because 'cause you're like, "Yeah, I wanna get another check from work, and I'm gonna use this to buy my next rental property, then I'll have 15 doors, this is great."
for sure,
Yeah,
for
Oh,
sure.
I was gonna say something, I forgot. So your rental properties, right? How is that
Mhm.
going?
yeah.
It's going well. It's
You
going
know, I
well.
mean, are you getting the good people in there? You got long-time tenants, or you flipping they're just coming in and out, or are you a
I've got like
slumlord? What are you? What's going on here?
nah. So I take pride in my properties.
I know you do.
So, like, when I was always a tenant, like, it always pissed me off when my landlords would leave shit going for a long time and not take care of shit. So, not to say like I overdo my properties, but like I make sure like I provide a quality service is my goal. Like,
Sure,
I don't want anyone like saying because I understand like the areas I invest in are like small, not to say small towns, but they're smaller areas. It's not like I'm investing in like New York City or anything like that. I'm investing in Central PA, North Central Pennsylvania, and North Central. You know what I
yeah,
mean? In
but you're
Central
talking
Pennsylvania,
about places that have great return,
for
right?
sure. For sure, especially for yeah, for sure,
So,
for
yeah,
sure.
that's why you're really smiling. Go ahead.
For sure. They do have great returns. But yeah, no, so like I always try to fix things on time. I always try to invest money back into the properties. Unfortunately, that's probably why I don't make as much as like I could is because I'm always trying to fix something or make
Sure.
things a little bit better, a little bit easier. But also like never trying to overdo it for the markets that I'm in. Because even though like I bought a lot of these properties low money down, like they do require some like deferred maintenance and capex. So that's where
So
those
any of
funds
these
are like being reinvested in.
You say creative financing, so any of these owner financed or anything like
Yeah,
that,
a
or
few of them.
yeah,
Yeah, so the first deal I bought was seller financed. Some of them are like seller carry, where like I bought it with a bank and then the seller's carrying like the remainder of the note.
yeah.
And then I have some like regular seller finances, and then I have some partnerships.
So the seller finance, did you ask for it or you found it, like they said, "Hey, owner financing," or do you
Mhm.
ask? I ask all the time.
So for the first one, it was more I definitely asked. Like it's never like he stumbled into it, but it was
Yeah,
more of an ask based on like he kind of led the conversation. Like me understanding more about creative finance and understanding what he was saying. Oh, I don't really need the money now. Oh, capital gains.
yeah, yeah,
I'm not trying
yeah,
to pay all this, blah blah blah.
all day long.
And I'm ready to retire soon, like
Probably
from his
jumping up
actual
and down
job.
when you heard that.
I
Yeah,
yo, bro,
I'm excited now,
and
like,
I didn't even
"Oh."
wanna own properties in this area. So this was my very first one. I didn't even wanna own property. Not to say I didn't wanna own properties, but it wasn't where I was looking really.
Yeah,
And but I was like, "Alright, this deal makes sense, like, I gotta buy it."
sure. And was
So
that a
now I got
single?
10 units there.
So do you buy single family or they have to be
Nah, so I
multi-family?
only buy multis.
Okay,
So
sure,
2 currently, I only have doubles and a quad, 1 quad.
okay.
I'd really like to break into the bigger stuff, but currently, I only have doubles and a quad.
They all work.
Yeah, no, they're great. No,
Yeah,
I'm not trying to
yeah,
say anything about them. I'm just saying my goal going forward would be to break into that, but currently, that's what I have. They're all working well for me. I'm doing well on them for sure.
good.
Yeah, man.
Do you think you have to go out of Pennsylvania to find bigger properties or change up your market?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I
And
don't think
what
so.
and you said you're in central PA mostly. So you plan on
I don't know. What is Bloomsburg area considered? Central, north? I'm in
No,
North Central, so like Williamsport
yeah,
area,
yeah,
Lycoming County, and
yeah.
then I own in Columbia County, Luzerne County, and then Montour County and Danville, PA as
Where
well.
in Luzerne?
I guess I guess it's on the border, so it's in Berwick.
Oh,
It's
Berwick,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think is Luzerne.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's like right on the border. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
literally
Hazleton,
the next
Berwick,
street
yeah,
over.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
next street over is Columbia. So yeah, those are where I currently own my properties. Do I think you need to go out of the so when you say bigger units, what do you mean by that number wise?
Yeah. 20 or more,
20s?
30 or more. Is
I
that what are
mean,
you trying to get into? That's
I
what
mean,
I
if
guess.
you want to get into 20 or more, 30 or more, I feel like they're out there in these smaller areas, but I feel like in the Midwest, from what I'm understanding, like there's larger, like if you're talking about 50, 60, 70 plus, those are hard to come by, obviously, in the areas where I currently market. 20s are around, there's 20 units for sure. There's 30 units. I think once you probably get over 40, they're a little bit harder to find depending on the building size, unless you start going to like Wilkes-Barre and Hazleton and stuff like that. But in the markets I'm in, those buildings are a little bit harder to find.
Do you plan on staying in those markets or like growing out of those markets or what are your thoughts there?
Currently, right now, I realize that as my family grows, the way that I've been running my business is not optimal. So I'm in like a solely system building phase. I'm like, not to say, oh, I'm trying to delegate like like I have a VA now. I have people who like show properties, clean properties. I'm still like doing work on properties, unfortunately, but that's just because I need to find someone to do the work that makes sense. And also, I'm like still trying to like learn certain things. So I'm like doing like the other day, I hung drywall and tore down plaster. Never again.
No, I'm
Never
telling you,
again.
a one-time deal with me
Never
too.
again. Yeah,
So now I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
now I'm not
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
So
Now I
you're
know how it
doing
should be done. Now I know what it should
Yeah,
look like. All
yeah.
right,
yeah,
nah, I'm good.
You say that to yourself like 5 times and then you finally don't do it again.
yeah, I know, same here.
Yeah,
I'm like,
honestly though,
"Oh."
I'm probably gonna find myself doing it again soon.
Yeah.
Because you can't wait sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you ask your guy,
unfortunately,
"Oh, I'll be there next week," and I'm like, "Okay." Right? I'm impatient, so I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna get my tools and head back.
too
And next thing
sometimes.
you know, I'm just bugging. I'm making things worse probably. And come the 5th day,
Sometimes
yeah, when he can get there next week, I'm like,
I
"Here, it's a bigger
definitely do.
job now. Sorry."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, yeah, I'm just trying to systemize everything and trying to find ways. So my hope is that as I do that, and I have a VA currently, and my goal is to currently like trying to train her to be like an in-house property manager, so that as I do that, then I can move out of the markets I'm in. But I don't want to like spread myself too thin because like I'm still working a job, still have a family. So I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it too small, but that's like my current plan.
So you don't have a property manager, you do the property
All
management yourself.
self-managed. Yeah, all self-managed.
When
And
is
you're
sales manager.
training a VA though to do the marketing and stuff, it sounds like.
Yeah, marketing, having her communicate with tenants, have those conversations, how to do rent increases, how to draft documents, send them. Like, so I'm slowly every time I do it, like if she's not there to do it, I'm like recording videos of how I'm doing it, like building out SOPs and then like writing having Chat GPT help me like draft my SOP or like I talk it out or whatever and it writes it all and blah 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 blah. So that's my plan is to like hopefully delegate that out. So
I
that's what
would
I'm
say
currently working on.
one of the biggest things that separates like successful real estate investors from not is like the ability to systemize things and delegate things, because there's only so much you can do as what like led you to that systemization route, because not everybody like systemizes things. Not
Mhm.
everybody does that. So what got you onto that? Like, where did
Uh,
you find that?
yeah. Honestly, all right, let's see. My mind is, I guess, like I've started to realize it now that I'm building processes, but I guess the way my mind has always worked is always like a process. If this, then that. When this happens, then this. So it's like always on autopilot, I guess, is how I try to think through processes and not get overwhelmed. But the system thing, honestly, was when I was working with you. You were really big into systems.
Yeah, he
And
is.
like, yeah, you were really big into
That's good.
systems. And at that point,
I feel honored right now.
nah, for a fact. At that point, I was like, I was a hobby business owner. Like, I wasn't even a business owner actually. Like, we didn't have a business, so I was like a hobby real estate investor. Like, just dipping my feet in, trying to figure it out, like trying different things. Like, probably pissing off a lot of people by calling them, just trying to learn it. But like when I met you, you were like, no, like systems, like system. That's literally all you would ever say. So no, we gotta find a way to systemize this, blah blah blah. So that's when I went from like Google Voice to like the auto dialer,
Yeah.
and then went from Google Sheets to like a CRM. So I think working with you made me realize systemizing things, and then just the lack of time. Like with working, I realized that like I need to write things out. And then also the fact that I know like time is finite and I'm a pretty morbid person. I guess it's probably for where I work. My family doesn't like really understand this shit. So I'm also like writing this out just on the off chance anything will happen. Like, all right.
All right,
Until you can figure
what did dad do?
yeah, if you want
Yeah.
to keep it, this is what you can do. If you don't, like it's fine. But here, this is what's working in 2025. I'm updating it as we go, but this is what's working now. So that's the hope and the goal. And then the hope is again, like I'm not do it like when I originally started this, I was like, oh, I want freedom. And then as I was doing it more, I realized that yo, I'm the furthest thing from my goal. And that's always going to be the case. But I felt like I was not doing things to help myself grow. Like I was just working in my business instead of like on my business.
Yeah.
And I had to find ways to get out of that. And it was by like building systems so that I can hopefully delegate it or find people to help out, or it makes my job easier. Like draft a system and find a way to automate that system or delegate that system. It's like how I'm trying to build my business in hopes that like I can continue to grow, but then also like still attain that freedom that I'm ultimately shooting for.
Yeah. Awesome.
Jake,
Yeah.
that's say Jake is a systems guy, and even me, I'm the worst, right? I probably see 20 people a week, and I just remember it in my head, right? Jake, I gotta have a freaking calendar with. He's like, "Yo, you didn't see it in the calendar?" I'll tell him, "Hey, we're seeing so and so Monday, 3 o'clock," and he said, "It wasn't in the calendar. I can't."
Yeah, I
But
completely missed it.
so
This
now
happened Monday. I had
so he's
no
teaching me,
idea.
like I'm like, "Yo, okay, I gotta put things in calendars now. I need
Yeah,
systems." But yeah, and it does make life easier.
for sure. For
And,
sure.
and honestly, thanks, Jake.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah,
for a
we gotta
fact.
use the
Thank you.
calendar.
Thank you. Honestly, I learned a lot of things from Jake, bro. I'm not even
This is
gonna
where we
lie.
would drop the ad now for
Yeah.
my
Yeah. No, definitely.
So you're building up a strong portfolio. How old are you, Omar? Are you
32.
30? So yeah, okay. So you're 32. You already have 14 units, growing quickly. Creative finance mostly. It's cash flowing. Your
For
job
sure.
isn't as important now because you have this
I
backup.
know wouldn't say it isn't as important,
No.
but
It's good.
things that like bothered me before is not, man. It's like
It doesn't hurt as much, you know what I mean?
it,
I got 15
I've
now.
learned that I can make money now no matter what. So
That's what
like
they mean by "fuck you" money, where you can just be like,
Yeah,
"Eh."
yeah. Now
yeah,
he laughs.
no.
He'll la "Yo, you gotta go." He said, "I'll be right there. Oh, don't worry." No, but Jake, I'm telling you, man, he just started running and talking to me, and I hear him like, "Yo, what's going on, man?" He's like,
Yeah, I
"I'll
felt
call
like
you
I was
later."
moving too.
Yeah, and I thought it was the kid in the background crying, or I don't know what's going on. He's like, "I gotta go." And he called me back later, but he
If I'm
cares about
moving
his
that
job.
big in my house, I've made it, man. Because that means my house is big. I could keep running like that.
Sound like a track star. I was, "Where's he going?" I was all
No,
confused.
seriously.
Yeah.
And then, so where do you see yourself headed now, Omar? So wholesaling, are you wholesaling at all? No.
No, I haven't. So I stopped wholesaling probably like this time last year, but I still kept closing deals after that. But there were more so like deals that were in my CRM through automation, just like automated text. And they'd be like, "Oh, hey, I'm actually interested in this." Oh, it just made sense. Or just follow ups from sellers who I knew had properties before that I worked with and wholesaling their other ones or buying their other ones. So I haven't really actively wholesaled since last April, probably. So currently, I'm more active. So from an active real estate standpoint, I'm looking more to flipping and just quick turnaround things. I want to get into more things from a flip standpoint, but I'm still developing my deal flow from that standpoint. And then long term, I still want to get into multifamilies. I bought my first 4 unit. I think I definitely want to get into 5 to 10. So I think the next purchase I want is to be in that range.
Sure, and
So I'm
actually
going to
5
start
to 10 is
marketing.
actually they say is like where you should buy is like a sweet spot because you
Mm,
got those bigger investors that want 20 and up or they're looking for that. They don't really care about that 10 or
mhm,
8 unit. I care
mhm,
about that. Jake cares about it, but there's a
yeah,
lot of the bigger players want them 20 units and up.
yeah, definitely for sure.
So right
I
now
definitely,
you're currently looking for new flips?
yeah, looking for new flips all over. Looking for
Yeah.
new flips all over.
Where? Just in your
From
area? Do you wanna be close to it, or you're gonna be able to send Josh Sheets 100 miles away?
Nah, man, Josh is a busy guy.
Yeah, he just did a flip.
Yeah, he's a busy dude. He just happened to have some time in his schedule to, to
Yeah.
fit my job in admittedly.
So
Uh,
do you have somebody else in mind too? Do you have a
no, man,
few
I gotta go. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on building my like. That's like the next step of like my like not the next step, the current step. I'm still working on it. Is like reaching out to people who've worked with people, building my contractor network. But the hard part I've always had with working with contractors, and now let me ask you guys this question. That's the
okay.
sub-host here. Uh, I feel like for me, it's always difficult for me. Like I have genuine relationships with contractors, but they're also like friends, right? But like when it comes to, and I feel like most contractors I work with, we're cool. Like we have good relationships. But I feel like when it comes to finding new contractors, I don't always have a large volume of work that like I can keep them busy. So
Ye
how do you bridge that gap of
So me, Jake has a good team now, right? But he's
Mhm.
gotta keep keep him busy. With me and my partner, my partner already had his they're in-house guys pretty much, right? But
Mhm.
we had to keep them busy. So we're buying stuff that we're not making any money on. Who's making money? They are.
For sure,
Yeah.
for
So we had to
sure,
keep them busy. So it was like, "We can get this house. We're gonna make a couple of dollars, but we're not gonna lose the guys because you wanna keep them working."
for
And
sure.
that was like the plan. And then I got into modular world. I don't need all those guys anymore. So my partner actually uses them for residential work, which he hates.
Yeah.
But whatever, that's how he was. He did a lot of residential work. He's still doing some residential work, not as much. But yeah, that's what I did. Jake
No, that
is
makes sense.
pretty mu Jake is pretty much doing the same. When you have a good guys, you don't wanna lose them, you
No,
know?
for sure, man. I gotta
Well,
get my deal flow up.
And
Is the
yeah, so if
ultimate.
you wanna keep flowing,
You gotta keep flowing.
yeah, and I also I would buy I'd be 2, 3 houses deep sometimes. So then I really can't buy that house I bought. I can't borrow with private money because I'm not gonna get to it for 6 months. You
Mhm.
get addicted sometimes. You're like, "Yo, that's a great deal. I don't wanna give it up."
Nah,
And I'll
for a
go
fact,
buy the stupid thing, and then, it's
I,
holding me
I think, yeah, it comes down to the deal. It
for
definitely,
sure.
yeah. Because if you have a good enough deal, you could import people from Mexico if you had to. I don't know. You could get somebody here if it's a good enough
Mhm,
deal. You could
mhm.
bring people in from New York if you had to.
Yeah,
So
You could always find people, but it's always good
yeah,
to have the guys that you trust because you're not gonna be there as much as I'm gonna be there because you this is only part-time. Even though it's
mhm.
full-time to you, but it's still part-time. You can't be there
Uh-huh.
10 hours out of the day.
Yeah.
I'll
No,
be there.
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
When you work with the same people, they start to know what your preferences are more, and your payment is easier to make and it's
Mhm,
just more organized, and they know what to expect. But what
mhm.
I've been doing, Omar, lately is I think when you walk a property, you should build the scope of work
For
like
sure.
yourself. You should
Mhm.
build the scope of work, then you should put a price tag on that, and then you should basically look for someone to do that. But we have a milestone, first milestone, second milestone, third milestone, fourth milestone. So in theory, like a contractor, each milestone could be a different contractor.
For
So if
sure.
I have to fire somebody, I could fire this person, get a new person in, and we
Mhm.
start from there. And we don't make any pay. We make a deposit, but we don't make anything beyond that first milestone.
For
And
sure.
then on the last one, we hold 10%. We do a walkthrough, make sure all the punch list items are taken care of, and then we give that 10% payment. But
Nah,
I
I like
think
that.
just if you have everything outlined and you have a
Mhm.
scope of work, then you're good. You just have to find somebody to, and if somebody's not doing a good job, you just fire them and find somebody else.
Definitely,
That's
definitely.
how it is. And then you try 10 people and you find one person that's good. And then you try to keep them busy, but that's also a dangerous road where you're trying to keep people busy and just buying deals to keep people busy. Yeah. So that would be
Yeah.
my advice is
Nah.
just get your shit really squared away where you have this scope of work,
Mhm.
milestone, and go from there.
Awesome. That's good advice. I appreciate that advice from both of you guys.
Yeah, but Josh is he's pretty professional, so it's not.
Yeah, he's a good
But
man.
see,
He's a
my
good dude.
problem with hiring just
My
that
guy.
one guy is if you fire him, you lose the whole everybody.
Yeah.
Like as Jake was saying, and milestones are very important. If you can get it, if Josh can't do all your stuff, you start finding, hey, I know I got a drywall guy, I got a demo team, I have
Oh,
my
for sure.
electrician, my plumber, and
Yeah.
you build
Yeah,
that
in
way.
like certain markets. So the markets that I own properties in, I have those things like lined up. Now it's more so just making sure that people are available. But even still, like I do have and that's again like what I'm currently working on is building that list. Like through like me having more, not to say like maintenance issues come up, but like more things coming up with rentals and me doing more at different rentals. Like I'm also building my like scope of work. Because when I originally started, back to what you were saying, I only had that one guy. Like he
Yep.
was doing it all. Then I lost the one guy because he was an investor himself, and then he just started flipping like properties like for himself, which he's crushing it at currently. But so with that, I had to figure things out, and that's what spurred this. Ah, shit, damn. Now I felt like I was doing great, but I was actually hurting myself. Like now, when this time hit, and I need to find people
Yep.
to.
Yeah. I'll send you
That's
a
kind.
copy of my scope of work and then you can use ChatGPT to do the rest,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, that's appreciated, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, for sure. All right, sorry, I forgot where we were at. I
We were talking about
just,
contractors and stuff like that, but enough investors anyway that
yeah, that's it. Yeah, and that's the cheat code. Honestly, like it's not. Honestly,
absolutely.
the cheat code is like the network. Like your network
Yeah.
is your net worth.
And if I need people, I'll start going to networks, go to
Hmm.
meetups and stuff like that, and just start networking, and I'll have a
Yeah.
whole team by tomorrow.
For sure. Building a strong group of people and a strong friend group and a group of network investors that you trust in and believe in and can generally count on and support is, I think, pivotal to like doing this thing.
Now you said you also joined venture with some people, or
Yeah, I have some partners on some deals.
yeah, and how do you like that going forward?
It's, how do I like that? Man, I don't know. Not to say it's not going well. And I'm not
Yeah.
saying that anything about him. It's not that it's not going well. I don't know. I've got to figure out this. I got to figure out myself in myself, like what this partnership looks like for me. It's not
Yeah.
like a bad partnership. I will continue to partner with this person as well as we can, as long as we can continue to communicate as well as we have. But I don't know. I don't know. I got to figure out like
Yeah, do you
partnerships.
guys, like, have a plan? "Hey, in 3 years, we're gonna look at this
See,
rental
that's the
property
problem, man.
and
We
say,
got into this
are we gonna
and like,
sell it? And if I want out, you want out, or don't want out,
mhm.
how much I'm gonna pay you?"
So we have that all delegated,
Okay.
like how splits work, all that good stuff. Blah blah blah
That's
blah.
all in the operating agreement.
Yeah,
It's all
all in the operating agreement
Okay.
and the JV. Like we own one property in a JV agreement, another property in like in a LLC. But that's
Well,
all.
at
That's
least
all
it's
laid
laid
out in
out,
there.
so there's no
Yeah, yeah, it's all
surprises.
laid out. No, so there's no surprise there. But it's just more or less. I feel like when it comes, so I think like now I'm getting to the point where like I prefer to own rentals by myself, and I think the issue with it, or not, my issue with it is that like the ensuring that like both of you guys are on the same long term plan.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if you want to, because I want to own things like forever and ever and ever. Like, I don't really
Right.
have like plans to sell until it like it makes sense, honestly.
Yeah, because you never know when it's gonna make sense.
Yeah,
Someone can come
exactly.
tomorrow and say, "Hey, I wanna buy all your 14 doors for this much and overpay." You're not gonna
Hmm.
say no.
No, probably not. I don't know. That might be a hard decision now.
Yeah, but you know what? You could take that money and make a lot more quick if you're
No,
doing
for sure,
flips and stuff like that,
for
because you
sure,
now start seeing the kinda cash you can make, and,
for sure. I would definitely. It would be a numbers game on that one. I'd have to look at. I don't know. I'm a numbers guy, so I'd look at the return on equity and all that
yeah.
stuff. Like, all right, does this make sense to sell all these versus what I'm getting here? But yeah, no. To your point, yeah, that's my like partnership thing. Is just figuring out like someone or figuring out like communication beforehand, where we establish like, all right, like what is our like end goal on this long term.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, I feel like I don't really have issues with it. It's more of just like a communication thing, and I feel like partnerships, like communication's huge.
All day long.
That's one thing I've learned for sure. I've been in like a few partnerships at this point, and that's like the one thing I've learned for sure is like communication, and honestly being just honest. I feel like a lot of people are like Not to say a lot of people, but like sometimes it's just hard to have those difficult conversations.
Yeah.
And like instead of having them, people like shy from them, and then like it leads to dishonesty, and then like feelings that are like kept under and never really brought to the surface
Yeah.
and just build. So, I don't know. I feel like you got to be honest. Have a partner who you feel that you can be like
Sh
truthful with.
Sure, and can handle the hard times.
For sure.
That's
For
not gonna
sure.
panic.
Not gonna
I
panic
have
for
a good
sure.
partner with my new
Poise.
construction. He doesn't we're very upfront with each other. We don't hold nothing back. If I feel something's wrong, I just bring it up. Same with him. And it makes a big difference. I don't have to worry at night. And I
Mhm.
kinda like it because I don't have to always be at the job site. Maybe he'll go for a week, then I'll go for a week, or I'm saying I'm going away, and it's nice to have that extra partnership
For sure.
instead of asking your family or I ask my sons, they're not doing nothing.
For sure. For sure.
But, yeah, that's what I wanted to say. What do you got, Jake? You're smiling over there.
Nothing. I
He's
think
thinking of
that's
some new systems.
well,
Hmm.
yeah, I think partnerships for certain things are good,
I
and
like
then
partnerships for flipping, doing new
Mhm.
construction.
Yeah.
I don't
I think that'd be the route I would go
I
going
really
forward.
don't know if I would do it for
when you're
a re
talking about building a 1,000-unit portfolio with somebody over the next 50 years, that's harder to have a long-term vision like that. Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett are like the best example I can think of as like a successful partnership of
Mhm.
Berkshire Hathaway. I don't know if
Yep,
you, but
Mhm.
they when they started working together, they did it on a handshake. Like they had no operating agreement, nothing, and they were just able to work together for so
because
Hmm.
many years.
you have that
That's
rapport.
yeah. I
But for
think they
me,
just know how to communicate.
I feel like I'm either working harder than the other guy or like I'm super obsessed. So I'll just work all the time. And not everybody will do that. So yeah.
I think all 3 of us on here do that.
Yeah. So that's one of the things you gotta watch because it sucks splitting half your profits with somebody when you could be hiring those roles and delegating more, but instead you're stuck splitting your profits. And then like with rentals, if you want to reinvest money, now you have to get somebody else to approve that reinvestment. And then
Mhm.
if someone ever passes away, now you're dealing with the spouse, unless that's in your operating agreements. I
Mhm.
think it's good to have very selective partnerships and probably for individual use cases rather than I'm going to build this factory over the next 50 years or
No, I
whatever.
agree.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more, man, for sure.
That's my input on it since you asked, Mike.
Alright.
I was going to stay quiet.
No, I
I don't have
definitely
any
agree.
partners right now and I like it. I like it a lot because that delegation piece is really important. And if you're taking all your profits, that means you can reinvest it the way you want it instead of splitting it. So where do you see yourself in a year from now, Omar?
So my goal is to continue. I want to really get. So I've slowed down with marketing when I was working on the flip, and then like trying to build out like the base of my business again, if you will. So I'm getting back into marketing now. I just started getting into more Facebook ads, building out like different websites for SEO and doing mailers. May jump back into code calling. I don't know. Not me personally, but may jump back into code calling. So in a year, my goal is to have closed on another at least 2 flips. At this point, I guess April of next year. I'd really let's see, I'd love to get to 20 by next year if I could. But ideally, so my goal has always been like 6 to 8 units a year. And I've been like on that track for the past 2 years because I bought my first one in October of 22. So I've been on that track. So I'm that's my goal again is another 6 to 8 units. And then ideally, I'd like to hire another VA. Currently I have an administrative assistant. So my goal would be is to have like administrative assistant and then because currently my administrative assistant does like the property management stuff, she does the marketing stuff, she does like the outreach to like different like tenants and different like vendors and stuff like that I need. So I would like to take some of those roles away from her and get like a solely like a marketing VA who handles like direct mail, cold calling, like SEO, Facebook ads. So that's my goal for the next year.
And is that how the deals that you bought the last few years have they been mostly off market?
I think I bought one on market.
And the rest were ones that you like sourced yourself.
Yep, either source myself or word of mouth were brought to me from like
Yeah.
other investors or agents.
So you
And
want to
then I
build that
just
machine up more and
yeah,
get
for
that.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely want to continue buying more rentals. I think at this point, the only thing slowing me down is in like my own inconsistent marketing. And as I reflect on my journey, I feel there's deals that I see that I come across, And there was a point in time where there were so many deals that came across, like, from other wholesalers. I already walked out. I already walked out. I already walked out.
Yeah, yeah.
And then so now I feel like I was like, damn. And now as I'm reflecting, I was like, oh, it's because I was like consistently like marketing, and I've been like marketing for a bit, not marketing for a bit, marketing. So
And
like
then
now I want
and
to be
you
consistent
see
about it.
that when you stop marketing. I would stop marketing, and then I don't get any calls. I'm like,
Mhm,
"Yo, I gotta start doing it again," and then all of a sudden I start seeing them. The
mhm.
same thing. You gotta
You
just be
start seeing
consistent.
familiar addresses. You're like, oh, damn, that's in my CRM. I saw
Yeah,
that
I
address
know.
before. Like,
I
I
talked to that
slacked.
lady.
I should have got that.
I
Why did I not? Why did I take the break to
And
do this?
Chris, the wholesaler, got that one. I talked to that lady 6 months ago, and I was like, "I don't want it." He just
Honestly, man.
yeah, I see it all.
Yeah,
Honestly, yeah.
it
I
makes me
laugh.
So
so mad.
that's
I
where it's
laugh.
come, and that's where I feel like delegating comes. Because if I'm doing everything, like
It's
that's
tough.
why I can't continue to market. Is because like I'm doing too many things. So that's
Well,
another reason why I
especially if
want
you're
to
flipping.
delegate things
If
more.
you wanna flip and you got rental
Hmm.
properties and you have a full-time job and a dad and husband. That's
Hmm.
a lot.
That's 3 different businesses right there.
It is a lot, man. People say that all the time. I don't know how you do it. I don't know.
You just do it. I do it all
Just
the time.
I Yeah, I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
care.
know.
Do you
I just
think
feel
the
like
sports do you think sports, like, helped with discipline? Do you think you got discipline from that? Because you have to be very
um
disciplined to do all this.
I'd say it was sports, and then I come from a very, not to say like strict family, but I don't know, not to brag, but like most everyone in my family is like doing well for themselves. They're not like crushing it and like super rich, but they're doing well. Like they have good jobs. They're meaningful people to society. So it's always been, and I come from a huge family.
Should be proud of
Uh,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm super proud of it. I don't want to just sound like I'm bragging though, but I'm super proud of it.
You can brag. Go ahead,
Yeah, you should brag.
uh,
because that's hard work to do that, but go ahead. Let's go.
Yeah.
and I come from a huge family. Like my grandmother had 12 kids, and I've got 30 plus first cousins, and we were always like a close knit family. So through that, you see, oh, this person's doing this, person doing this. So I've always been like super competitive. And then I think through me being competitive, I've always set goals for myself and more or less competed with myself. So I think that's really what allows me to do well in real estate and through kind of anything that I like pursue. Is I'm always like, and I never feel, I don't know, I always want to do more. So I feel like it comes from that. And like football, like my one of my coaches would always say the first step to failure is complacency. And that's always like something that's always stuck with me. So I always feel like once I'm feeling good, oddly enough, I'll start to feel like down on myself. Yo, I'm not good enough. Or, damn, bro, you're slacking. And then I'm like, all right, cool. That's a complacency kicking back in. Let's go. I got to get back to work. So that's like those two things that I feel like are what lead me to do the things I've done.
And
Yeah.
now, is your family supportive? Like your cousins, your brothers, sisters?
They're supportive, but no one talks about it.
No,
That's like one of
you
the
don't
things
talk
that
real
like,
estate with them?
They don't really care.
nah,
You don't
man.
go to, like, a
When
family reunion and you sit there and you tell them about wholesaling, it's how you buy a house, how you flip?
so my
No?
cousin, my first cousin married a guy he's an investor as well. His family invests. So he's also one of the people who were the first people who I knew were doing it before I met everyone else in real
Yeah.
estate. So me and him talk like financial stuff like all the time. But like whenever I talk about financial stuff around my other cousins, like even before I was in real estate, they were just like the room would get weird, bro.
Yeah.
I felt like the vibe I felt was always, I don't know, the room would get weird. So I just kind of don't really talk about that kind of stuff with
No,
family
you know what?
much.
And I don't either. I try to, like, they all know what I do, right? But I
Hmm.
never, like, with certain go to family reunion, I don't talk about it because I feel like they're like they're listening, but they're like, "Fuck him.
For
Who do you think
sure.
he
For
is?"
sure.
And I don't wanna be out there putting it in their face. "Hey, how much did you make on that flip?" I don't really talk about what I make on flips or new construction or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, for sure.
some people are jealous. I have friends like that too. As soon as you start talking about it, I just don't talk about it in front of certain people because they're hating me. But meanwhile, they watch my videos,
For sure. For
right?
sure.
That's why
Yeah.
you see all your doctor friends and all that. They all see the videos. Nobody likes them, you
That's
know?
just not something like we really talk about in my family. It really
Yeah,
is
because 'cause don't feel like
like,
you don't wanna feel like you're putting it in their face, but
no, not even that. I just mean like money, like financials
yeah. Yeah, I
like,
don't wanna talk about because then they start knocking at your door,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
"Hey."
mean,
but
my family asked me for money, so
Oh,
I don't know.
you say your family does?
Yeah, they ask me for money,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
because you're like, "Yeah, I wanna make $1,000,000 net this
Yeah,
year."
'cause I tell everybody, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna make $1,000,000 net this year." Yeah.
So I don't say that crap.
"Oh, can I borrow 40,000?"
Yeah, I always I'm broke. But we are, I never spend any of my money, you don't either, it goes right into the next deal. They
This
don't
is an
realize
expensive business.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people like people even at work, people always like, sorry. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
All
We
right,
see
sorry, I
you.
got a phone call. People at work always be like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah, money back." Not to say money back, but they're like, "Oh, you doing well? You probably doing well." Yo, you guys like don't really get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to say I'm not doing well. Yeah, I'm doing well, but
But really what I wanna buy is I'm not even anywhere next to
yeah,
it.
like I feel like I'm here, but I'm not like where I want to be. Like, and even more, so much is being reinvested back. Like I'd like take like in the grand scheme of like I take like a very small amount to go on vacations in the summer, like with my family. Like other than that, like literally nothing else goes out of there. And to go
Yeah.
on meals every now and then. Like other than that, it's just straight reinvesting and just trying to find ways to keep growing and delegate it out. I don't
I
know.
won't spend any money unless I know I could write it off.
For sure. Honestly.
So
For sure.
that's me.
No, definitely.
You have any final
Definitely.
notes, Jake?
Yeah, Omar, do you have any podcasts, tools, books, anything that you can recommend to listeners that are new or wanna get started in real estate?
Got the Mike and Jake show. Definitely keep
Thank
listening
you.
here. If I can't start here, like where else could I start?
We could edit it.
Podcasts, books.
What are your
Oh
favorites?
man. I
Listen,
don't really listen to podcasts much anymore.
what about you you did a lot of YouTube.
Yeah, I did use a lot of YouTube. So like so when I was listening to a lot of podcasts, so I guess like when I was getting started, I read so much like Bigger Pockets books. Like I read tons of like Bigger Pockets. I listened to a lot of Robert Kiyosaki. Like for me, a lot of it was like business
Yeah.
like books. The E Myth I read, Traction, Who Not How. A lot of those books like Atomic Habits, Never Split the Difference. Those are the books that really resonate, I guess, with me, like on my journey. And the books, the 6 habits of successful people,
Yeah, I
I
have
think
that down too, yeah.
Yeah.
that's another good
You read a
one.
lot of books.
Bro,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot because my
Yeah.
wife likes to make fun of me when I say I'm reading a book, and she's like,
Yeah, me
"No,
too.
just listening to it."
I
I'm like,
listen
"Yo, why
to
are
'em
you
all.
hating? Like,
Yeah.
I'm reading a book."
I ain't got time. I gotta drive at the same time, listen, do construction with my ear pods in.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
matter.
No, there's a lot.
Still gets in your head.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's all the same. No matter if you read it or not, it's still going as long as you're, like, actually listening to it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was binging on a lot of books. A Simple Path of Wealth, I guess, was, like, a one book I read. That's not really, like, real estate, that's more like stock stuff. I'm not really a what's his name? Dave Ramsey? I was gonna call him Gordon
Yeah.
Ramsay. I'm not a Dave Ramsey guy, but what was the book The $1,000,000 Makeover or something like that? The Millionaire Makeover? That book actually really that was, like, the first financial book I ever read.
Yeah.
And that book helped me a lot from learning how to budget or figuring out like what a budget even is, an emergency fund, how to start paying off student loans,
Yeah.
like all that stuff.
So
So
that's when you got
yeah.
into that, trade and stuff? You think you were gonna do stocks and
Nah, I like looked into it. I was like, nah, man, this is not for me.
no, I'm gonna do
So I
real
just
estate.
bought stocks, but like
Yeah.
and then I was like, this is not for me either. This thing's not going up like I thought it was. Let me just buy some real estate. But no, man, yeah, that would be my recommendations for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How can people
Yeah.
get in touch with you? Can they find you on Facebook? Can they email you?
If someone's got
Yeah,
a
yeah.
deal, how do they get it to you?
Yeah, definitely if they got a deal.
Yeah, if you got a deal, you reach out to me on Facebook. My name is Omar Richardson. You can reach out to my business pages, Samar Capital, which is my rental page, and my investor relations page, if you will. And then also you can reach out to me on Savvy Acquisitions if you got a deal. And that's typically my seller intake and my lead generation Facebook page. So you can reach out to me on any of those socials. I could give you my email, but it's super long. So I could just
No,
give you
you'll
guys my
give us all
email.
those links and we'll get it
Yeah,
on
I'll
the
give you all that
description for
stuff,
you.
and you guys
Yeah.
can for
Yeah,
sure.
it'll be
But yeah,
down.
if you want to reach out to me, those are
Yep.
definitely the ways too. I appreciate you guys having me on your podcast, man.
No, thank you.
This
You're
is
a
my
great
first time
guy,
ever
man.
doing this, so I appreciate it. This is awesome.
You
Yeah, no,
killed it.
This is awesome.
you
Yeah, man,
definitely
for
killed it. It
sure.
was awesome.
Yeah.
I hope
Thanks,
people
guys.
learn from you and stuff like that, and hope people reach out to you.
Yeah, you're a
Yeah,
great
man.
example that like not I don't know. Everybody kind of treats it like you have to go all in and go full time, but you don't. You could also do it as there's no rules. And I think what you're
No,
doing, you have a really great job and you have a really great family and you're building passive income and a savings account basically, not in the stock market, which
for
is
sure,
it's awesome. And you're
for
doing
sure.
it. You're working a lot, both ends, but shows that it's
Yeah,
possible. A lot of people think the American dream's dead.
man. My biggest thing, I guess, if I have to say like any final notes, is honestly, you don't need. If it could take anything from me, I guess like I didn't really have any knowledge when I started this. I didn't have any network. I didn't have any money like that because we literally just bought a house. So I literally had no money, and like I was able to grow this in 2.5, 3 years. I would say don't give up. Like it's out there. You just gotta want it. Put yourself around people who are doing it. Like your network is literally gonna help you grow. Like those people are gonna motivate you and teach you. And then also invest in yourself and your mind and just continue to learn. And then through that continual like progress every day, like you'll see that success.
Let's go.
Yeah, that
Amen.
was
Those
great,
are good
man.
closing words. I like it.
That was good.
Yeah.